Housing plays a key role in boosting economic development and also social well-being. Many countries in Africa are grappling with lack of affordable housing, with a shortfall of at least 51 million housing units. Let's break this down, starting with Nigeria, where more than 14 million people lack adequate housing, while Ghana's housing shortage is at about 1.7 million units. Now, in South Africa, housing shortage is approximately right now at 3.7 million, while Kenya has a demand of 2 million units. Now, estimates have shown that Africa's housing industry requires at least 2.5 billion US dollars in new investments annually. Global shocks such as COVID-19 pandemic and inflation due to the war in Ukraine has exacerbated the immense development challenges the continent faces. In sub-Saharan Africa, 59% of the urban population lives in slums. Therefore, having access to quality, affordable housing is fundamental to reducing poverty, improving equal opportunities, and guaranteeing a sustainable growth. So earlier on, I spoke to Jane Otima, a regional director for Africa at Habitat for Humanity International, and I began by asking her, what will it take to make housing in Africa affordable? Take a look.
Making housing affordable in Africa will actually take governments, private sector, public sector coming together and understanding that not one person can do it all, and also rallying behind solutions that will begin to speak to affordability.
When it comes to policymakers and solutions, what kind of policies do you think are needed to make affordable housing more accessible?
We need various policies. We need policies, that will encourage innovators and encourage investors to come together and work towards improving affordable housing in Africa. We need solutions that enable materials, for instance, standards that enable new materials to come into the market, policies that support financial products that begin to speak to the way people in Africa build or access housing, which is not always around mortgages and the formal finance market.
You pointed out that we need lots of players to come in and work together. So how can the public and private sector collaborate?
It does take someone, an organization, an institution, and even governments creating those platforms for collaboration. And one of the things that we, for instance, have intentionally done in Habitat for Humanity is to ensure that we set up a collaboration platform like the Shelter Tech, where public, private players and innovators come together to begin to work towards solutions that will actually bring affordable housing in the region.
And how do we balance out the gap between growing demand for affordable housing and meeting the demands of the high cost of living?
We have to be able to bring about the challenge that says, hey, housing is a challenge, affordable housing is a problem, yes, but let's also see how we bring and spur economic development, create employment through housing, bring about health preservation, health dividends through housing, and that begins to reduce the gap between affordable housing and high costs of living.
For a low-income earner, what tips can you give on how they can afford some type of housing?
Deliberately begin to embrace the emerging solutions around affordable housing that are coming from different innovators. It takes a mental shift. It takes a behavioral shift.